Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Relationship conflict can be good. Yeah, I know, y'all thinking, oh damn, what's Rom up to today? And just to let you know, I'm just gonna throw some things out there with this video, right? But let me start with a story. Yeah, y'all know it ain't Uncle Rom video unless there's a story, right? I remember, because I've said before, I always talk about my grandmother and everything. And I remember when I first started living with her when I was about 10 years old. Now, people who bought my book, Nice Guys and Players, know, best buddy growing up was this dude I called Jim, right? Now, Jim, he was cool. Me and him, it was interesting because the neighborhood where my grandmother lived, she'd actually just moved in there. It was a new housing development at the time, right? So there was no established pecking order among the kids, because y'all know in any neighborhood where y'all have children, young people, there's always a pecking order. So we had all these new people moving into the neighborhood and everything, and me met Jim. We became fast friends because most of the other people are just people like moving from lower middle class to upper middle class, and me and Jim came from rougher backgrounds, so of course we clicked. And it's kind of funny, that first couple years around there, maybe that first year, all these young boys growing up, pre-teenagers and all of that, all we did was fight each other all the damn time. Me and Jim had to be like Ghost and Tommy and stuff. It took us about a year or so to establish order around there, and a pecking order and stuff. Fighting, nothing but conflict. I mean, shoot. We fighting the kids, adults thinking we bad kids. It's like, God. I thought I was a good kid. He had some serious adults thinking I was like trouble. Well, me and Jim was trouble. Actually, we were like Ghost and Tommy. I was like Ghost, and I let him do the crazy shit, but they saw through it. They was like, nah, you bad dudes too. I laugh about it now, man. But nah, it was nothing but conflict, all of that. Now I look back at it, and all these same kids that we were getting into it with, everybody's like family now. That's just how it is. Now, fast forward to the present, this relationship conflict. I mean, we have it all throughout Western culture. And for example, I'll just use the black community, but isn't that by no means only the black community, because there's definite conflict in other communities. Definite. But I don't think this is a bad thing. I know there's some people who will say, oh, we got to go for peace and all of that. It was like, well, hold up, and let's just be real. For about 40 years, because I grew up through it, 80s, 90s, the early part of this century, black women were just going in on brothers. And brothers were just sitting back taking it and trying to do better, just going in. I mean, on every level, brothers get accused of being DL, being deadbeats, actually called unattractive, a bunch of stuff. And brothers didn't really start speaking out about it until 2005, and then that's when many black women were like, oh, y'all can't do that, and y'all shouldn't do that, including some dudes. But I'm like, hold up. Conflict is good. Conflict is needed. Out of chaos always comes order. Because here's the thing, and this is some game I got from my grandmother, because she would actually start some stuff with me just to make me stand up to it, right? She actually said that. She was tough love. She would do some stuff just to make sure I would stand up, because she knew if I stood up to her, I would stand up to any woman. Because I've said this in other videos, she did not want me to get played. So she had no problems pushing buttons just so I would, I go out here in the streets or something and I'd stand up to anybody else. She would do it. Or even my mother did that. I remember 8 years old, some kid beat me up on the porch. My mother just looking through the window and then told me, hey, you better pick up your left next time. But see, conflict is good though, Because what it's doing is forcing a conversation. It's forcing the conversation. Now, I've said several times, I've been doing this since the 90s, but see, there was a period where I just kind of withdrew because the conversation wasn't going anywhere. If you when I was sitting on the seminar panels or doing workshops, everything was about pleasing the women. That was a real discussion. It wasn't a discussion on what women could do for men or what we could do for each other. It was always like the women were doing no wrong and the men had to get in line. That was the discussion. And that wasn't getting anything. Look where we at now. We did all that now. You know, there was a time, one of my mentors said relationships used to have could probably last about a good 3 years. Now it's down to about a good 3 months. And I've seen that with a lot of people. They get on social media, say they, relationship status, they with somebody cool, then 3 months later that relationship status is different. See, we did it that way. Men catered to what the women wanted for years and tried to conform to what the women wanted for years. And, you didn't have this back and forth like you do now. Now, all of a sudden, the relationships are worse. You know how many men and women I talk to, functional men and women I talk to who aren't in a relationship? The divorce thing is worse. How many kids are growing up without both parents, and what effect would that have with them? You still have plenty of children in the foster care system. A significant amount of the young people who are filling the prisons up didn't have both their parents because their parents had relationship issues. And part of the problem was we weren't addressing issues. Yeah, everybody was throwing it out for the men, which was good. There was nothing wrong with it, but people weren't saying, okay, well, ladies, this is what y'all doing. And see, that's really the base of the conflict now. Men are speaking up again. First time, really. Men are speaking up, and they need to. It takes two to tangle. Both sides are going to have to evolve. Now, it would be nice if that could be peaceful. It would be nice if that would be a peaceful thing and we could just sit down, have that conversation. It hasn't worked that way. That's part of the reason why I withdrew from all of this for a while, for years. Probably from about 2003 to 2013. I kind of withdrew from it. I still did some seminars and stuff, though. I still would sit, but it would be like somebody say, hey, you want to come to it? Because my books were still selling. I ain't going to push away some money. I just wasn't pushing them. And then I would go and it'd be the same old thing. And I'd just be like, whatever. Okay. People didn't want to discuss things. People wanted to sugarcoat things. You know what? You got to get deep. It's like an intervention. Like if you see somebody using drugs, they using harsh drugs, you can't be like, oh, you're a great person and you're so beautiful and all that. No, you need to be grabbing them by their neck and say, motherfucker, these drugs going to kill your ass if you shit. Sometimes you can't be nice about it. You gotta say it. And that goes both ways. I don't really have a problem with what women have to say about men. I really don't. Because you gotta weed through it. Some of it's some bullshit in my opinion, but some of it got some legitimate concerns. We need to hear it. Same thing with men. Let's just keep it 100. Some of the bullshit men saying about some women is some bullshit. It is. It's just straight bullshit. But there's still some legitimate concerns too on both sides. Sometimes you got to have that back and forth because at some point people going to be like, oh, wait a minute, this some bullshit. We can't go. Look, we need to start listening. Because sometimes you got to go through it. We've tried the peaceful way. We've tried that. And, it's like, wait a minute. Now we got a whole new generation of kids growing up into it. We got young girls already on some bashing shit. We got young boys, and I'm talking about preteens. They already talking about going their own way, or, you got these young girls. They getting imprinted before they reach their 10th birthday. And plus on some real stuff because of as a result of the bad situations. You getting a lot of children molested because some of these women out here, men been speaking out about women choosing Pookie and Ray Ray. And some women have the nerve to defend that. But when Pookie or Ray Ray molest their daughter or increasingly sons, they gonna get mad at us for saying it. No, the men need to keep saying it. You know, people got to keep going with the conflict. Look, unfortunately, the conflict needs to be there. Now, I want solutions, because at some point people going to be like, damn, we got to talk this shit's crazy. I mean, seriously. And that's why it's a good thing, because sometimes you got to fuss, and then at some point everybody start looking at themselves and like, man, this ain't getting anywhere. You know, now we got to have a real discussion. Because that's one thing. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time. You know what? I gotta strain myself to think whenever I did a seminar, whether it was a seminar, relationship forum, or just a group conversation, like in somebody's home. I've done plenty of those too, unofficial stuff. I gotta think when somebody, like, we actually walked out of there and, like, it was like both sides were heard, all arguments were presented, and people were like, you know what, we gotta change this shit. Like I said earlier, it was more about what men could do to please women more, but not the other way around. You know, and that's where the problem is. Because really, for all of this to really get better, you know, both sides got to evolve. Both sides got to, like, look at themselves in the mirror and say, okay, this is what I can do better. You know? Like, I give you an example. Many men are complaining about women having too masculine a trait. That's a real issue. But on the other side, many women are saying, well, too many of these men out here are soft. You know, that's an issue. We got to talk. We can't get mad about it. You know, if they say it now, we need to look at it. Men need to look at themselves. Women need to look at themselves. You know? Now, people have tried putting it out nice, but then you get some people that get mad. Like, I remember years ago, and I told this story before, I'm in a forum. All I'm saying is some brothers like natural hair, and women got pissed at me. And I was like, why y'all getting pissed at me just because I told what some other brother said? That wasn't even my preference at the time. At the time, as long as they had a fat ass, I was good. You know, I wasn't even tripping over whether they had a weave or not. I was, you know, at the time, I just wanted the sex. So I was like, I could care less. Makes it easier for me not to get on it. Now, I'm a natural hair lover now. But at that time, all I did was say, you know, brothers like natural hair. Instead of embracing it and just say, oh, okay, you know, they were mad at me. It's like, we can do this. It's like, look, it wasn't an indictment. They just stated their preference. And that's how it was back then. That's how it was. And that's how it was for years until about 2005 when brothers started speaking up, getting on social media and say, hold up, this is what we have. And, you know, some people try to silence them and everything. I was like, nah, get it out. Get out everything. Both men and women, get out what you going to say. You know? Even if it's fucked up, get it out. Because that's the only way you're going to come to that resolution. You know? You know, getting back, you know, bringing it back around what I was saying about when, you know, me and Jim were in the neighborhood establishing order. You know, shit. Like I said, it was always some fight. Always some conflict and stuff. And, you know, in later years, something will flare up every now and then. But, you know, everybody cool now. Everybody laughing about it now with their children and in some cases grandchildren laughing about it. It's like, you know what? Sometimes you got to have those blow-ups. Even my grandmother said that too. She said, you know, sometimes you just got to have that blow-up to get shit out. And then after a while you look at it, it's like, damn, that was some dumbass shit. You know? So the conflict is good if it can be managed, especially. You know, you don't want any bad stuff to happen, which is actually happening anyway. But conflict is good. In fact, debates are good. You know, the real purpose of debates is not to just beat the other person. The real purpose of debates is to have two people with opposing viewpoints present their arguments. And then a solution is crafted from pulling from both arguments, a compromise, or where something that is beneficial to both parties or both groups is brought out. That's the purpose of debates. You know, that's the purpose. That's why you need to have those discussions. It's not even about changing the other person's mind. It's about getting out the best ideas. So, conflict can be good if it forces discussion, because that's what I predict that's going to happen. I don't think this is going to keep going for too many more years, especially in the black community. I really don't. Because at some point, you'll get a critical mass of people or a critical mass of influencers, in this age of social media, who are going to say, you know what, we got to talk this out. We got to talk this out. This has gone too far. So I look forward to when that actually happens. Because then that's when you get like a lasting thing. Not some fake me out, somebody catering to one or the other, but some real shit. Because then everybody then got out what they had to say, screamed it out. You expended all those energy. Now it's like, okay, y'all ready to talk some solutions now? Boom. Let's do this thing. Anyway, that's it for now. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.